Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Dana again, and today you're at Research Road. This is a weekly series where we go through science and tech news with a bit of dry humor. Then we answer some questions from y'all. Today is the 5th of November, 2024, and on this date in 1872, Susan B. Anthony voted for Ulysses S. Grant. Yes, that's 48 years before the 19th Amendment guaranteed the right to vote to women. She was picked up a couple weeks later and was eventually fined $100. When she was informed of the fine, she said, quote,
"I shall never pay $1 of your unjust penalty."
Fun fact, she never paid a dime. So, starting off with tech news, reporting is suggesting that some of the big players in AI tech are having to reassure investors that the billions of dollars being spent on the tech will eventually turn a profit. And speaking of AI, OpenAI has developed a new measurement for accuracy when it comes to large language models, answering simple questions. Let's just say there's a lot of room for improvement. We'll put the link down below. You might want to read it before relying on the emerging tech too heavily. And now on to space. Voyager 1, which was launched in 1977 and became the first spacecraft to leave our solar system in 2012, has made headlines and sparked nostalgia. The spacecraft's fault protection system seems to have switched its communication system to an S-band radio, which is a system that has gone unused since 1981. Another NASA project with an orbiter named Lunar Trailblazer passed a series of tests and is moving towards a launch date. Most estimates put the date somewhere in the next 6 months or so. The craft will be looking for more information about water on the moon. On Mars, the Perseverance rover captured imagery of Phobos passing in front of the sun, and it looks kind of like a googly eye. Now it's time to talk about the developing climate crisis. Researchers are looking into various forms of geoengineering to protect the Thwaites Glacier. That's more often called the Doomsday Glacier in headlines. With the fate of the glacier still being debated, some have moved past the debate and started researching the options that might be necessary to protect it or mitigate damage. Most are motivated by the idea that it will take too long to figure out solutions if they wait for it to be necessary. Others are concerned that a tech solution might undermine needed efforts to reduce emissions. The state of Nevada is expected to get 50% of its electricity from renewables sometime in the next 5 years or so. New York City has declared a drought watch and is requesting citizens conserve water. The EU saw an 8% decline in emissions in 2023. Americans will decide, well, today, whether or not the climate is a driving force in elections yet. In the world of animals, gray wolves have expanded their range in Colorado south of I-70 for the first time since they were reintroduced. In health news, Trump has suggested that RFK Jr. might end up having control over the nation's healthcare system if he is elected. What could possibly go wrong with that? Bird flu was found in Los Angeles County wastewater. Health officials are still saying the risk to the public is low. Now let's dig up the past a little. The Middle American Research Institute at Tulane University has been using LIDAR for archaeology. They've just published findings saying they've found an estimated 6,000 structures in Valeriana, which is what they're calling a newly found Maya city. We're probably going to see a whole wave of new information coming out over the next few years that will rewrite history books. A fossil of an arthropod found in New York State is getting a lot of attention, primarily because the fossil is made of pyrite, better known as fool's gold. It kind of looks like it could be a piece of handcrafted jewelry. And now on to oddities. The face of a young woman who was given a vampire burial about 400 years ago has been unveiled. A vampire burial is the name given to a style of burial that occurred at the time that included a sickle over the neck and a padlock around the feet. This was to stop them from leaving their grave. Her face was reconstructed using her DNA, 3D printing, and modeling clay. In a bizarre twist, the burial designed to stop her from coming back to life generated enough interest to reconstruct her face and give her a form of new life. The last time we talked about this type of burial, somebody sent in a question asking if there had ever been a site discovered with an empty grave. So far, I have not been able to find one, which would seem to indicate that the magic works. Research in Chernobyl's exclusion zone has led to the identification of several species of black fungi that sort of feed on radiation and convert it to energy. It will inform our understanding of life in extreme situations. Why not do it one more time? Also in Oddities, Vance. Hopefully that will be the end of that recurring joke. And now we're going to answer some of your questions.
What do you think about Miranda?
I'm going to assume this is about a moon of Uranus. The moon might have an ocean and might have life. What do I think about it? I need way more information.
I loved the stories and was very excited to hear you'll be launching a channel for them. When will that launch?
We'll let you know soon. We weren't even going to start work on it until after the election. Once we see how everything plays out with that, we'll know how much time we can devote to putting that together.
Who do you think will win the election?
That's a little outside my normal coverage. Look, I just hope that people will vote in favor of their own interests, which are also the planet's interests.
Dana, when you start the story channel, will they all be political in nature and allegorical? If so, make them subtle like the Mars one, not like the cave one. The cave one was too on the nose. Most saw the Mars twist coming, but the subtext about going back to the place you left before, engaging in self-destructive behavior through ignorance, and so on. I didn't see many people connect that to the election. Now, I'm not sure I'm right, but I'm sending this anyway.
I don't know if they'll all have political subtext or be allegorical. This is really just a fun hobby. I don't have a bunch of short stories laying around. I'm a pretty political person, so I think a lot will, but I don't know. It'll evolve as it moves forward. As far as what the stories meant or mean, you're free to assign whatever subtext to them you want. If you can use it in a way to convey an idea to somebody, I'm all in favor of you interpreting it that way.
Somebody asked Dee what she thought was the most underreported news story, and it was a really good answer. What do you think is something that needs more attention?
If you're talking about something science-related, I think there needs to be a constant focus on the climate and a reminder of the fact that not addressing it is a huge deal. People will often frame their political rhetoric about civilization. If addressing the climate crisis isn't part of your politics, you don't care about some abstract idea of civilization. If you're talking about in general for the channels, I think the priorities are right at the moment. After the election, depending on how it goes, it would be cool if we could focus on things other than the Trump damage report. That looks like all the questions for this week. This week's quote is attributed to Abby Hoffman.
Democracy is not something you believe in or a place to hang your hat, but it's something you do. You participate. If you stop doing it, democracy crumbles.
So that's all the data we have to date. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you again soon.